Welcome to the light at the end of the funnel. This podcast is all about tangible solutions to common online marketing challenges. And it's also about the lighter side of entrepreneurship, the motivation, the innovation, the inspiration, and the growth mindset needed to build a business that stands the test of time and stands the test of the unexpected. I'm your host, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark, and I want to thank you for spending your time with me today. So let's dig in. Hey everyone, Danielle Fitzpatrick Clark here, the founder of Light at the End of the Funnel podcast. And thank you for listening in or watching in, because we do put this out on video as well. So today we're a little bit on the lighter side, but I'm mixing it a little bit with science. So it all makes sense because we're talking about the mind, and the mind, there's a science to that too. So one of the things that a lot of my clients come to me, and it's, yes, they come to me for strategy, but also what my clients really need sometimes is just someone to listen, to hold that space. Having 3 daughters, I'm really good at listening. And not always, but as I've gotten older, it has been much easier to do, and patience that I have developed in spades. It's been a process for sure, for sure. So a lot of times my clients, and they just need to get things off their chest, off their backs, something's bothering them. And a lot of times I find that it's around feeling like a fraud, or being afraid of failing, or being afraid of succeeding. What does that look like? Can I handle that pressure? It all has to do with them not trusting themselves. If I was to unlayer this underneath it all, they're not trusting themselves, and that they have the abilities to move through anything that comes their way, especially if they're not sure of what the outcome is. And this is entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship, there's a lot of times that we are reeling right around that corner and we have no idea of what's on the other side. That saying of, people jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down, and that's entrepreneurship. Some days it can feel like that. And, and I tell all of my clients, I'm like, listen, the fact that you are here, that you are feeling any tingle of fraud syndrome, means that you're on the right track. And they're like, what? Really? And I'm like, yeah, because what you're doing is paving a way that you've never walked before. And most likely you're paving a way that has never been walked by anyone before. And this is why, because your business is not meant to be cookie cutter. So taking on a role as a business owner, or taking on a project, or moving a program forward with innovation in mind because nobody's doing it, yeah, that's entrepreneurship. We solve problems. We're solution driven. And so my clients are very solution based, and they see things not working and they want to help. They want to fix it. They want to see what they can do. And very much like what I want to do. And so with that comes that mindset trap of, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I must be a fraud. And before we figure out anything, if that's the case, if that's what we're holding the bar to, then we're always a fraud. So that's the other thing I tell them, like, well, you're always a fraud. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, whenever you try something new that you don't know if it's going to work, and you're going to do it anyway, then you are essentially, to what you're saying, a fraud. And so that will get them thinking as well. It's a nice little perception shift for them. Maybe not in the direction they thought they were going to take, but it still is a direction that they need to go down, because they need to understand that other end of it for them to like, well, yeah, but it turned out great. And I don't feel like a fraud at all now because I did that. And I'm like, great. So in this particular instance, are you really a fraud, or is that just what you're saying because you're unsure of yourself and what you can do? The answer is usually, yeah, that resonates. I agree with that. So when it comes to your business, if you are doing things differently, if you're walking down a path that you have not been on, if you're about innovation and impact and solutions, then there are going to be times where you may feel like maybe I don't know what I'm doing. And so this is where the science comes into, guys. This is what I tell them. And this is what the process that I go through myself and that I've used for this very reason. I tend to fear the unknown just as everybody else does. In fact, more often than not, I do everything scared. So it's kind of my internal motto and also a motto that I'll say to everybody else. I'm like, do it scared. That's mine. Not a just do it like Nike, but it is do it and do it scared. Because I usually do everything that I'm doing, I am doing scared. I'm innovative. I like to do different things. I want to see how things work and I want solutions. So everything is new. Everything is new when I'm trying new things and being innovative. I'm always scared. So I'll be the first to admit I am most likely in a cowardly lion frame of mind most mornings when I'm trying something different. And I move through it and I do it anyway. So the way I've been able to get myself moving and actually completing and really getting excited about the innovation and the things that I'm creating is I use a 6-step process. I do. I run experiments. I treat a lot of this new stuff like a science experiment. So, um, and I talk about this a lot. The steps that we learned are in the scientific method, right? The steps we learned in science class about the scientific method were ask a question, do the background research, hypothesize, get a hypothesis, do the experiment, analyze data, and make conclusions, and then communicate conclusions and your findings to your peers, to your colleagues, to your bosses, to your teachers when we were in school. But that's a scientific method. So I use a very similar process with online marketing and with innovation when it comes to online. The first one is the hypothesis, the theory. So once you've discovered something in your research or when you're looking around, something that is a why is this not working statement, or what if we did this instead statement, then you have a theory. So we start with a theory or a hypothesis, and then we move on to the next one, which is like, I'm going to run an experiment to see if this works. I'm going to test this out. So we run that experiment. There's no attachment either way to the outcomes. We're just curious. We just want to see. So I describe the experiment as there is no attachment involved with the experiment. It is simply to see if our theory or our hypothesis works. So what's one of those that we've used before? For one of my clients, they had past clients on an email list and they wanted to move them into a new program. They had never emailed past clients before. So it's like, well, let's go ahead and put them in a list in your email marketing platform. And let's go ahead and test out a couple different ways of talking and communicating with them. And we'll do an A/B test. So let's see if we can move them into a sales cycle this way, but we'll do 2 tests. We'll do an A and a B test. So we set that up. We have our tracking and our metrics in place. We do test A is one marketing angle, test B is another marketing angle, and off we run. There's the experiment. So what happens with the experiment? Well, we see if the findings were really good between the A and the B test, which one worked, which one didn't, did they both work? Awesome. And then this is something that we're going to use again as people are moving out of programs. And then we want to move them into another one. So that test went very well. We're going to keep it. And we're going to reuse it when it makes sense. So that's kind of how we do those experiments. So the next thing is, and just like that example I gave you guys, we're going to analyze the data. So we want to make a conclusion though. We do want to make a conclusion when we analyze that data. And if we don't make a conclusion or if our conclusion is it didn't work, great. Let's have a new hypothesis. So analyze the data, make a conclusion or make a new hypothesis, because this is like a mini experiment. Micro experiment. You may not have all the answers to make the conclusion either. So most likely you're going to have enough to form another hypothesis. So let's just say that we were talking about those 2 emails that one of my clients used and they did an A/B test. And the results were inconclusive, meaning that, okay, people opened it, but nobody clicked through and nobody came and got onto a sales call. So it didn't work the way that I thought it was going to work. So what we can conclude is that the emails alone are not going to be enough to move past clients into a sales cycle. So we need to come up with a new hypothesis. Why is that? And we can go through a whole list of reasons why, and then we can come up with a new theory of like, well, what if I add in another email, or what if I add in 3 more emails and test out 3 more marketing angles? Maybe one of those will hit. So that would be the theory, is like, I think I need to put in more emails. Great. Run another experiment, go through the process again. So that is how we analyze it. We draw a conclusion from the analysis, or we make a new hypothesis. And then the final one is, instead of communicating the conclusions, you want to do a continuation. So this is where we continue in the direction the experiment dictates. So like I said, if it's an analyzing the data and it's inconclusive, or it's not working the way we thought it would, then we draw in a new hypothesis and we do a continuation of that until we get it to where we want it to be, until it works, right? And if we decide, if the data is saying that this worked, then great, right? We do a little happy dance, or have a little party, or maybe just even a fist pump. But that's a point where we can like, great, this works, so I can continue on using this. I can continue on using this theory because it works. So the idea with all of this and using this theory into an experiment, into and analyzing the data, into continuation, is so that you are moving forward and you're not a fraud when you're figuring it out and you're doing things differently. So I have found that one little methodology can do wonders for the mindset traps that we have. And is it meant to replace therapy or coaching with a mindset person? No, it's not. It is really not, guys. If you're really stuck in where you're like, I need some support to get out of this beyond running an experiment, then absolutely find someone that can help you do this. If you are thinking like me and you just need a perspective shift and a different frame of mind in order to move forward, then this methodology works really great. So this is all to help. This is all to support. And really, if you are the person that is being innovative and trying new things and willing to put in the effort and the time and the love that running these experiments requires of you, then you're doing wonderful work. So you're doing wonderful work in the world, and you're stepping up in a way that most people either don't want to, choose not to, don't know how to. So I really hope you guys hear me when I say good on you. This is really important work that you're doing in the world, regardless of how the experiment ends. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you guys use the online marketing scientific method to support you whenever you're feeling maybe like a fraud, or you're fearing the unknown, but you really want to try things. I hope this can help you guys move through it in a way that is supportive for your up-leveling in your business. So until next time, you guys make it a great one. Bye for now. Hey, thanks for listening to Light at the End of the Funnel, and help a marketer out. We always can use some love. Share, like, and subscribe. That is the best thing that you can do for any podcast. So if you like what we're giving you guys at Light at the End of the Funnel, please go ahead and share that out, and don't forget to subscribe. We appreciate